We ready? All right. Welcome, everyone. We're ready. Let me see. Flag salute. Ready?
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of the Republic, which is the nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Awesome. Thank you. Oh, sorry, I'm calling the meeting to order again at 6:10. Thank you for keeping me on track. I sometimes don't know what I'm doing. I appreciate it. And please continue. All right. There's no actions taken in closed session. Adoption of the agenda.
Second.
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Adoption of the consent agenda. Is there any items or anything? All right, adoption of the consent agenda.
To approve.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, moving on to our recognition and presentations. And let's start with the middle school. Welcome. Woo.
You ready? All right. Good evening, everyone. I'm Danny Rimmer, principal at North Monterey County Middle School. I'm joined here with my teammate, Miss Megan Dutz, and we want to thank you all. We're really excited to be here to talk to you about how the start of our year is going. Oh, I have a clicker. Turn it on.
The home switch.
You're tricky.
You two make a great partnership.
So we do. All right, so we'll start off with our demographics this year. This year we have 618 total students enrolled. 234 students are multilingual learners. 95 of our students are on individual education plans, and 11 of those students are in our special day class. We have 35 certificated staff members broken up as you see here, and then 42 classified staff members across all departments. We have a diverse student group that we serve, and our staffing reflects a committed group of educators to meet, committed to meeting the goals and needs of our learners. All right, I'd like to start off by talking about our LCAP Goal 1, which is rigorous and equitable instruction. One thing we really want to highlight for this year is our new academic offerings. We have 3 new courses being offered to our students: C-STEM, art, and Spanish. We used our Prop 28 money to hire a fully credentialed, experienced art teacher who's providing visual art to our 7th grade students. And our students are really enjoying this. They've been engaged. They've come up with some really amazing projects, and we're continuing to expand and refine that program. C-STEM, I'll talk a little bit later, but it is a math elective based out of UC Davis that is taught by a credentialed math teacher. And we've brought back Spanish language arts for high school credit. And for the very first time at the middle school, our non-native speakers are able to take Spanish 1 for high school credit. This accelerates their pathway once they transition into high school, and offers them to either take expanded language offerings or other electives in higher level math courses. This year, we brought in some new structures into our middle school, starting with our academic advisory, which happens Tuesday through Friday as a 0 period, so the first period in the morning. And each day begins, we have a designated schedule throughout the week. So each session begins with what's called an emotional tracker, where our students, when they log into their Chromebooks, fill out an emotional tracker. I'll talk a little bit about that on our next slide. And then the week progresses with Tuesday is grade check and goal setting. And we introduce our second step social emotional learning lesson. Wednesday, our staff lead the social emotional learning lesson and our students complete it. And then Thursday and Friday, our academic intervention using iReady My Path, which is an individualized approach, meeting students at their need and progressing from there. We've also made great growth in our co-teaching model this year. Our master schedule allows for our RSP teachers, as well as our gen ed teachers, to have common prep periods. So they're able to plan, design instruction, assess, and modify together. And then they are sharing the responsibility of delivering instructional practice. So they divide direct instruction and academic discourse. And then they also are able to break off and do small group instruction. So on any given day, our RSP teacher might take the lead on instruction and our gen ed teacher providing the support and vice versa. And while this remains a work in progress, we are seeing real growth for the first time in our implementation of the co-teaching model. One thing we really want to highlight is our teacher movement in teacher clarity and instructional practice. Ms. Dutz and I committed ourselves to a goal of being more present and more greater proximity to the work. And we're tracking ourselves and getting into classrooms. And we made the goal of getting into every classroom every week. We've made it. We've met that goal a few times. We've missed that goal a few times, but we are making great progress. And the most exciting thing about that is seeing the work of both our teachers and our instructional support staff. They are really expanding their use of the learning outcomes and success criteria, learning objectives and success criteria. Instruction is rigorous, it is standards-based, and they are employing high leverage instructional strategies. We've seen things like jigsaw, reciprocal teaching, student-led discussion groups, and they're refining these practices and doing PDSA cycles on their implementation. One other thing I want to highlight is our EL supports. We've expanded our intensive ELD offerings from one section of intensive ELD to 3 based on current student levels. We are also working on embedding, language standards into all core curriculum. So these are areas that are one of our teachers on special assignment, Ms. Hamza, is helping our staff to embed in ELD practices into content across all. If you remember, 294, so nearly half of our learners are multilingual learners. So we're targeting this in multiple ways. We also have added LPAC training for our students that are on the precipice of reclassifying in our expanded learning. So twice a week, a certificated teacher is doing LPAC training and practice for students through our NEST program. Area that needs improvement is we are not unique in the fact that our students still remain below the state average in mathematics. What we're doing to address this is this year we're investing heavily in our human capital. For the first time in the 7 years that I've been at North County, we returned an intact math team of fully credentialed, fully prepared teachers from last year to this year. Last year, our 7th grade team went to the county community of practice. This year, we're sending our 8th grade teachers. While doing this, they're identifying priority standards, building learning progressions, and working together on unit development. They're also engaging in the PDSA or Plan, Do, Study, Act cycles around high leverage instructional practices. We're also working on bringing in outside professional development on innovative high leverage math teachers for these teachers that are already excelling in the classroom and making meaningful growth. The other thing that we've done is implementation of this C-STEM curriculum, which is an elective based out of UC Davis that is a real world mathematics application of robotics, engineering, and programming, where students do both grade level math as well as mathematical function and application that integrates both grade level skills and foundational skills where students get to see them in real world applications. Lastly, as I mentioned before, we're really designating ways for us to improve students that are multi-years behind through iReady practice that's built into advisory, that's not taking away from core math instruction, as well as work with our expanded learning team and our NEST staff to get them trained to offer this program and some of those services and supports. All right, our cost team is committed to academic focus this year. So our cost team is our tier 2 and 3 team that looks for our students where our tier 1 is not having the desired outcome. So they have been implementing our new position, which are MTSS aides to high needs classrooms to provide intensive targeted supports within the instructional day. Additionally, our MTSS TOSAs have identified high-need students who already at progress monitoring have 3 or more Fs, and we begin providing lunchtime intervention for targeted students. The MTSS aides are working with our general ed students, and our ELSAs are working on our students that are multilingual learners that are not maintaining a 2.0 GPA. Our next steps, we will continue to refine advisory. We've collected teacher feedback, and our Tier 1 leadership team has already made refinements and change. Last year was the planning stage. This year's implementation. We're now progress monitoring and making adjustments as we reassess and continue, and we'll reassess this winter to see if this is meeting the needs and accelerating student growth. All right. For goal 2 on student engagement and connectedness, I'd like to start a little differently and talk about areas that we identified as areas of need and improvement for us as a middle school. These that were identified last year and remain integral goals for our team. The first is our Tier 2, 3 behavioral and social emotional intervention. You'll hear me talk in a minute about the effectiveness of our Tier 1 system. What we're seeing is that there are still students that Tier 1 system has not had the desired outcome. And so we need to refine how we're helping that small group of students to meet their abilities and to make them be successful in our campus and in their educational pursuits. We also identified that the feeling of student safety is paramount on our campus. 76% of students reported feeling safe or very safe on our campus at the end of last year. We want that number to get as close to 100 as possible. That's an important hierarchy of need for our students to be able to learn, is to have that feeling of connectedness on campus and safety. So here are some things that we're doing to address these areas. It's starting with our counseling department is doing minute meetings through advisory. This is an AVID technique where our counselors do empathy interviews that are 5 questions. They're meant to be short in duration, but the goal is that each one of our counselors has a caseload of approximately 310 students. And some students get multiple check-ins throughout the week, and some don't see their counselor more than a few times a year. This is a way that within the first 2 months or so of school, our counselors will have met every single one of the students in their grade level that they're supporting. The final question and these questions ask, tell me something that you would consider a strength in yourself. Tell me something. My bad. I get excited. And then it concludes with, would you like to have a follow-up meeting with the counselor? And a lot of our students are taking advantage of that opportunity. Our Tier 1 behavior system is showing great progress and great effectiveness. 96% of our students at this point, as of today, have 1 or fewer minor behavior infractions, and 98.8% of our students have 0 major behavior infractions. This is owed to the fact that our Tier 1 behavior system was staff developed, and it took time and implementation. But our teachers and classified staff are trained in this process. They prioritize clarity and consistency in teaching expectations, reteaching expectations, and providing the supports for students to be effective in that learning environment. We also have implemented, I mentioned Second Step, which is our district adopted curriculum for social emotional learning. Within our advisory, we have a plan to go through the entire curriculum, and all of our students will have access to that throughout the year. Within arts and culture, our students, we've added folklorio dance to our middle school, and it's been a really cool experience. I got to see them practicing yesterday, and there's a really enthusiastic group of students that are participating. We also recently sent our 8th grade students to Santa Cruz to the Shakespearean group so that they could watch a play, and they did have a lot of fun. One last thing I really do want to highlight that has been a major part, and I touched on it earlier, but you can see it in the bottom there, is the emotion tracker. This is something through Synergy that we've implemented through advisory, where every single day, the first thing our students do is this emotion tracker. And what we've learned is that our students are tired and happy for the most part, but they also have an opportunity to provide comments. We have multiple staff members that review these every single day. And in doing so, we've been able to intervene on bullying situations. We've been able to prevent conflict. We've identified students that might be going through loss or going through duress, and our counselors are able to reach out to them. So we also get a lot of really fun middle school responses that we get to enjoy. But this is just one more avenue of communication for our students to know that they are being supported and that we can use as a mean and a screener to identify them. And so this has been a really, really game-changing tool for us in giving all students every day an opportunity to communicate both discreetly and privately, but meaningfully. And then, our student response is, I wrote that this morning and, before the end of first period, an administrator, the counselor, a teacher, our teachers are reviewing them as well and saying, hey, I saw that you're stressed out about your math test. I think you're going to be ready. And they're providing this kind of positive feedback. So that's one of the tools that we have that's really going forward. We're also really proud of our attendance. Our SART team, which is administrators, our counselors, community liaison, our attendance clerk, we're at just below 96%, 95.6, I rounded up. But our attendance is at 95.6%. They've been doing home visits, empathy interviews, and matching resources to families to promote high attendance. Our next step, we set a really high goal for October. We're doing an attendance challenge. And if we have a moment, we would like to premiere our advertisement for this attendance challenge to you all now. Enrique, would you be able to do that?
While we're queuing it up, give a shout out to Rebecca, who is just so much fun to work with and making these videos. And she really prioritizes the importance of sharing out that information. So we had a lot of fun with this one.
The students and I are the consummate professionals during filming.
Hey Phoenix, did you know that showing up to school every day makes a huge difference?
When you're here, you learn more, connect with your friends and our staff, and build habits that lead to your success. All right, here's the deal, Phoenix. This October, we're launching an attendance campaign. If we as a school hit 98% for the month of October, all students will receive 2 special surprises. First, students will be allowed to throw water balloons at selected staff members.
What?
And 2, all students will receive a brownie sundae in their lunch.
Remember, only come to school if you're healthy. Stay home if you have a fever, you're vomiting, or if your doctor says you need rest. Otherwise, we want you here. To show you what's waiting if we hit our goal, we have a little preview for you.
Wait, you're serious about that?
Yeah.
All right, Phoenix, now it's up to you. Show up every day in October and help us hit our 98%. One more thing.
Which staff members do you want to see get water balloons? Start talking to your friends, because your vote counts.
Be here.
Rise up and let's crush this challenge together.
That very cowardly scream was not scripted. That was natural. I would now turn it over to Ms. Dutes to talk about community and staff engagement.
All right, I will be brief, unlike my beloved partner here. Let's see if we can get this to change. There we go. Okay, so this year we're seeing some really positive momentum in LCAP goal number 3, parent and community engagement. Our two-way communication with families is stronger than ever, with talking points as a useful support tool and staff members dedicated to making phone calls. We're making meaningful connections with families. Our back to school night was a huge success with strong attendance, and we provided interpretation so that all families could fully participate. Our first ELAC meeting had a really fun energy. Parents were engaged, eager, and excited to get involved. We're also seeing growth in our parent-teacher group, which hasn't existed in multiple years. Parents are stepping up to talk about our school and showing real commitment. At the same time, there are areas we want to strengthen. We're looking at how to improve best practices in our school site council, create more intentional ways for our newcomer families to feel connected, and increase the number of community events throughout the year. Looking ahead, we have several next steps planned. Alongside our district empowerment team, we're planning a parent summit and parent workshops to build leaders and learning opportunities, a dedicated newcomer family night to welcome and connect with our most underserved families, and a fall fun night on October 17th that will bring families together for a night of games and connection. Overall, parent involvement is up at the middle school, and we're very, very excited about it. There's a lot of excitement and energy about getting engaged. We're continuing to promote volunteering and brainstorm creative ways for families to get involved so that every family feels like they're an important part of our school community. So any middle school family members out there wanting to get involved, come visit us. Okay, we're really hoping for that. Okay. LCAP goal number 4 is all about staff engagement and connectedness. And this year we've had some great progress as well. Our teacher-run Sunshine Club has brought us staff potlucks, which created that positive energy on campus. And overall staff morale, retention, and recruitment is strong this year. We're feeling it throughout our staff and we're really, really grateful for it. One of the real highlights is our Tier 1 leadership team. The collaboration and amazing vibes within that team have been noticeable, and they'll all be starting coaching cycles with one of our MTSS TOSAs to continue building on that momentum and being models for our staff. We also recently held a professional development for our classified classroom support staff. This is our instructional aides, our EL support assistants, and our MTSS assistants. That training focused on high-level strategies and best practices for being a second adult in the classroom, and it was very well received. At the same time, we recognize areas to improve. Some of our new positions still need refinement so we can maximize their effectiveness. And while we've had some fun staff activities, we'd like to expand those opportunities even further because they're so well received by our students. Hence the water balloons. Looking ahead, our focus is on those coaching cycles with teachers and furthering teacher support. We want to build those stronger connectedness with classified staff, and we want to plan more interactive activities like our first staff versus student indoor soccer game, which is now possible now that we have Mr. Rimmer's favorite combined lunch schedule. Events like this give staff a chance to connect with students in a new way and continue strengthening that school culture that we really find at the heart of the middle school. And now I'm going to pass it over to Mr. Rimmer for our favorite part of the evening.
To highlight, one of our certificated staff members was a very challenging choice this year, but we picked Miss Charisma Tejas. She's indicative of these amazing teachers that we have brought on board that are newer in their career over the last 2 years. Ms. Tejas is a second-year teacher who teaches English language arts, as well as our intensive ELD for our newcomer group. Ms. Tejas puts in the hours. She works very, very hard at her craft and has grown tremendously within the profession. She's working with our newcomer students, who are students that have been identified that have been in American school systems generally 2 years or less. And she's building connections and relationships. She's helping them navigate this new environment while developing academic skills. Within her English language arts class, she tries high leverage strategies to great effect. She builds an inviting classroom environment, both a physical environment as well as one that is welcoming, well-structured, and equitable for all students to achieve. So Ms. Tejas is really just, we really are proud to spotlight her because of the work that she's putting in and the very, very bright future that she represents, that she is indicative of. And now Ms. Deutz will highlight our amazing classified member.
All right, I'm going to take a moment to recognize our amazing ELSA team, Miss Mary Lou Fernandez and Miss Maria Campos. These two were an incredible team beginning last year as SIPA 1s, and they've really grown into a cohesive unit. They're partnered closely with our MTSS TOSA, Miss Ariz Hamza, and are always willing to jump in and support however and wherever they're needed. Whether it's classroom support, lunchtime intervention, helping with lunch supervision, translating for families, and more. What really stands out is their dedication beyond the classroom. These two spend an amazing amount of their day making personal phone calls to all of our EL families, just doing check-ins, inviting them to our events, and they work nonstop to ensure our students and families feel that support. Their impact's huge, and we are so, so fortunate to have them this year. They're a role model for our new MTSS assistant roles, and we hope that we continue to build that team. I want to thank you guys so much for the time. I know that we have gone over our time, but I hope that
We always
comes-
do, but it wasn't as bad this time.
it's just the passion for the work we're doing. We're feeling really good at the middle school. We're really excited about a lot of the new things we're trying out. And we hope that you guys take the opportunity to come pay us a visit, stop by anytime. We'll be happy to have you.
Thank you. All right. I'm first going to open it up for any public comment. Zoom. All right, closing public comment, and I'll open it to our board. Adriana, I'll start with you. No clarifying question. All right, Rick.
Thank you for the presentation. Sounds like things are going great as usual. Yeah, I saw some pictures. I was wondering who's doing the garden now.
Go ahead. Oh, so luckily our union then has negotiated the stipend for that. So we have an 8th grade teacher, Ms. Eleanor Strong, who has been willing to take that on. So she's been starting to build that program out. In addition, our SDC teacher, Ms. Viana Espinoza, her class goes out there quite often to be watering those. So the garden is well maintained.
Yeah.
We just picked a bunch of our tomatoes and we're able to give them out to students and staff.
We also have quite a few student volunteers that get really excited. So at lunch, they take the watering cans. And so we've been able to open it up to even more students, not just our horticulture class, which isn't the thing.
And did you guys get a athletic director?
We do.
do.
Mr. Romero has
Oh.
taken on the role.
Yeah, I heard he was gonna apply. And
Yeah, well, personally speaking, I'm very, very excited because he has taken on the role and just really jumped into it. He's giving it all. So as somebody who's been at the heart of athletics for many, many years, I'm very, very excited that I'm passing it off to someone who's so passionate about it.
That's
He's
awesome.
very committed.
And is there any was there implementation of a flag football team that participates in a league yet? No.
No, does our middle schools?
We in the spring, intramural sports, we have Mr. Juan Gonzalez runs our intramural sports program. Flag football is usually the last sport that we do in spring, but not in a competitive way outside of our own school.
Because I know a lot of other middle schools do that. Is there any plan? It depends on participation.
Yeah, it hasn't been,
They brought it up at the league meetings yet?
No.
We can follow up with that one on your, Rick, because I haven't heard about interscholastic flag football.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
Hardin, they won their championship on this spring.
attended the first league meeting for our Mountain Trail Junior Athletics League to help with that transition. And it wasn't brought up at all. But it's definitely something that can bring up to see if schools are interested.
Be a good like little pipeline
Yeah,
for sure, you know, because they're doing really well too. But thank you for everything.
Thank you.
thank you.
Thank you. Sandra, any
Hi.
clarifying questions?
Just clarifying questions, not comments.
We'll have time for comments, but it's a presentation, so I don't think.
Comments, I really just, I guess I do have a question. Combined 7th and 8th grade lunchtimes this year, is this the first year? Or
It's the first year in many years.
It's the folks first year post-COVID.
First year post-COVID, yeah.
Mhm. And that was a little bit of an inside joke between Ms. Dukes and the cabinet and I. I was very apprehensive about the combined lunch.
Okay.
We added a campus safety monitor. We have increased staff present and it has gone very well. So it has provided more opportunities for engagement and our students are responding well to it. Some of our 8th grade students have expressed their preference to not be with our 7th graders, but their friendships are starting to form. So it's gone very smoothly.
I think that's great.
All right. Angela, any clarifying questions?
Yeah, he's done a great job on the Spanish for high school credit. Remember years ago, do we have a math 1 for the 8th grade that they get?
We still do.
We do have a math 1 class, yeah.
Awesome. So we have those two, so they can get ahead in Spanish and math.
That's
I think
correct.
That's outstanding. And then something I wish I heard more of, it's not just in general. I still don't understand the difference between a PTA and a PTG and a PPE and all this other, you know.
It's all the
It's like-
same, and I think the name and how you refer to it comes back to how you're doing your taxes and things like that. So it's all the same. The goal of that organization, whether it's a PTA, a PTG, or a PTO, is to bring multiple members of the community together to discuss what's going on at school, how we can help, possible fundraising opportunities, all of those fun
Is it new?
things.
This is before my time, but our PTG, PTO, I don't even have clarity on that 100%, but they lost their account. The account went dormant. Obviously, there's a challenge in the middle school because they're there for 2 years. So you need to have a signer, a designee and everything like that. We did get our tax exempt account reestablished. And so it's the formality of the group and the funding of the group and the financial like process is being reintroduced from something that was gone prior to like 2019.
Well, thank you. Like I said, keep forgetting it's 2 years because my brain,
Yeah.
3 years middle school. So I'm just naturally wired that way. But yeah, I'd love to hear from more schools about PTOs or PTGs or PTAs or whatever acronym we come up with.
Right.
And just to see more parental involvement.
Yeah.
Martha, any questions?
First, before I even say that, I keep smiling over here thinking, man, what a great choice to have you two guys. Because you guys are doing a fantastic job.
Thank you.
and, we can see the difference. But I do have a question on, with the MTSS, the positions that you said we were gonna have for the high need classrooms. So were those new positions? Have we not had those before?
That's correct. So the MTSS aid positions was a new classified position that we started district-wide this year. And we have two of them. And so we've been kind of piloting different ways that we can best use their supports and implement them. With us as a middle school, we needed a little bit of time to gather data and then also professionally develop our staff and our new members into this new role.
So when you say we're hiring these.
Oh, no, they're hired. They're hired and on staff.
Okay, and so they're working with the special needs students and
They're working with general ed students.
general ed students.
Correct.
okay?
So they're providing supports within the classroom, pushing supports and like instructional support, as well as like outside of the class supports during unstructured time, like breaks and lunch.
Yeah, so right now their schedule that we're set on, and this was based on observations, popping into different places, getting teacher feedback. They're within the classrooms during certain period and identified classrooms that need that support. And then we use that DNF list that our MTSS TOSAs are working on those interventions to place those. And then they are running our student store so that our students have their RISE points that they earn and they're able to turn in those for incentives. And then they're doing those lunchtime intervention groups where they have a case load of students that they're continuously monitoring. And those are our students with 3 or more Ds and Fs.
And these staff members are pushing in where there aren't other instructional supports, like, so they're not instructional assistant, like IAs for special education, or none of our ELSAs, or they're supporting our English language learners. These are supporting gen ed students.
Got it. So, and then thank you for clarifying how you determine what classrooms are going to go to support. So,
And that comes from observation input from teachers, as well as our DNF lists and academic data.
great, thank you.
And I just have a couple of questions. How many newcomers do we have at the middle school?
Well,
I want to say 12. I think that number might have changed this week, or
yeah,
last week,
we've had new enrollments.
but it's right about 12.
Okay. And you mentioned that some positions still need refinement, new positions. What
That's the
position?
MTSS aid position.
Just the MTSS?
That's the real one. And then we're trying something different with our English language learners. This year, we had cohorted our newcomers, particularly together. So they kind of move throughout the day together. And that was so we could really put all of our resources there. But it had an unintended consequence of they didn't have the opportunities for the language practice as much because they were with each other so often. So we tried something new. And so we're still refining how we can make sure to provide that support while also providing that opportunity.
All right. And is do you envision the actual getting it done sooner so it won't impact the students as we try new things? Or is it
It's an
is it
ongoing-
working?
It's a progress monitoring
Okay.
process. So we've implemented, we're progress monitoring, and then we need to see, we'll collect to see if it's having the effect, even if it's having a positive effect, is it having the most efficient positive effect? And that'll be an ongoing progress monitoring process as it is with all of our positions.
Okay. And I received a couple parents, they were not clear on who gets selected for the sports that are part of the nest. They thought that if their student tried out, it was part of the nest and they would be part of the sport. And they were kind of disappointed that that was not the case. Is there an explanation to the parents before the students try out saying, no, it's a regular sport, it's just sponsored by the Nest, or how does that work?
So there is communication. We do host a parent meeting for each season where we instruct that this is a competitive sport. This is
Mhm.
a travel sports team. Nest comes from us being able to partner with them for funding purposes to provide resources like transportation, uniforms, upgraded equipment, things like that. We also, for our students, we understand not being selected for the team, and that's where our intramurals come into play because those are open to all students. Any student that wishes to participate will be eligible to participate, and we cycle through seasons throughout the year.
Okay. And my last question, how many field trips do you have planned for students? Because I heard that you send them off to an awesome field trip.
Yeah,
Mhm.
so right now in the works, we have our Algebra Academy field trip that's coming up in October, where we have students who participated in a summer program and they get to continue that work with that program. We also are sending students to the Monterey County Math Festival this year. So we're working on refining that list of which students would like to participate in that and making that happen. I know Miss Monty Knudsen, who runs our Introduction to Business class. She's working on planning her trip to CSUMB, where she's taking them to the finance department at CSUMB and showing them around and getting to meet a few people there.
We're planning our college visit trip for our Avid students with partnership with our community schools coordinator and Nest. We also are we're continuing the Washington DC, New York field trip for students. And then, of course, we have our end of year activities that are open to all students, which is the Great America trip for eighth graders. And then seventh graders go to, what's the name of the park?
Royal Oaks.
Royal Oaks.
Okay. Awesome.
That's what we have on the books as of today.
Sounds cool.
Yeah.
All right. All right. Any closing comments, Adriana?
Yes.
Thank you so much.
Rick?
Yeah.
Any closing comments?
Oh, no, thank you.
Sandra?
Now that I can comment. I just want to say fantastic job. I remember from, dropping off my middle schooler, your enthusiasm, and he had leadership with you, Mrs. Dude. So I do think you're a perfectly paired pair. And I think your energy and your vision is creating this community of care. And that's really what it's about, right? If you want to reach and impact students' lives, they have to know that you care and they can sense it, right? Even though they're middle schoolers, they're extremely smart and they can sense when it's not genuine. So thank you for creating the environment where you are trying all these different programs to inspire and reach students because you're setting them up, right? If you're able to reach them when they're 12, 13, 14, then when they come to high school, hopefully it can be a really smooth transition. But I just want to thank you so much for your efforts. And I really appreciate your presentation. And if there's ever anything we can do to support, just let us know. But fantastic work.
Thank you so much.
Angela?
Yeah, I just want to build on what Trustee Rios said. Your synergy is very apparent. And it's really exciting. Just in the short time that me and Trustee Rios have been on the board, because we got appointed and then elected again, there's a huge difference of how, well, at least in our short time, where we were we're starting to see these synergistic groups of people together. And it's just really exciting because it really just shows us that we're going in a forward direction and maybe get some better student results out of it too. So just thank you for your guys' hard work.
Thank you.
Martha?
No, I mean, ditto on what they said, love the fact that you guys are leading the school, a lot of great things, and I'm excited. Thank you.
All right. I was going to ask you, Matt, but
I'll say a couple of things. Yeah. Great job, right? I've been over at the middle school quite a bit, okay? And I want to give a shout out to the two of you and also to your tier one team. I did, pop into kind of like their tier one team collaboration, and it's a group which, I mean, Danny was leading the meeting, he was facilitating the meeting, but there were so many voices, right? Everybody feels comfortable to collaborate. People felt comfortable to disagree, right? And then out of that, though, what they build is consensus around how to move forward with something, but you do so in such a strong manner that you get people's buy-in and empowerment. And that's really, really important. So thank you for leading that work, both of you.
same. I mean, you both answer the same answer at the same time. That says like you
It
are
happens an
thinking.
embarrassing amount of time. It's like
You're-
in front of staff who say the exact same thing.
But that's really important, not only for your team to see that you both are aligned with the leadership, the style, everything, but for the students as well, right? Because they're having consistency and have a good team leadership that is giving them what they need. And I'm just really blown by all the different ways that you're trying to get the feedback and also check in with the students, because I think that that age, it's either you go this way or you go that way.
Very true.
And it's very critical that we support them to understand that there's options, spaces that they can, I mean, like I love the emotional tracker
Yeah.
that, and that the staff is actually looking at it and checking in. That's crucial because many times students feel like they ask us stuff, but then nothing happens with it, right? And so I think that them seeing the follow through is creating leaders for them of saying like, we also have to follow through. Our adults are following through. That's role modeling that we follow through when we say we're going to do something, right? And so I really like that. And I hope that you didn't mention it or I didn't hear it, but I hope that you continue to do the greeting in transitions. I mean, like that was mind blowing. I think every school should do that. Every school should do that. Every space in our district should do that, where adults are greeting our students, are greeting, are checking in, having that connection and not just passing by.
Our staff is amazing at that this year. Her mentor for her clearing her credential came on campus and came in through the back and he said, greeting at the door, that's a thing for you guys, right? So our staff
It's-
really
It's
implements
a
it.
parent.
And
Yeah.
you bringing it up makes me happy.
Yes, yes.
My favorite thing.
That's my Christmas present I'm gonna get for Daniel. It's like a shirt that just says, "Do you even greet at the door?"
Yes, yes. I mean, that for me, that's mind blowing. So thank you. And thank you for all the work that you're doing. And especially in a very difficult stage of our students, a very challenging stage and also fun stage. So thank you for incorporating all those spaces for our students to succeed. So thank you.
Thank you all
guys.
for having us.
Appreciate it.
All right. More awesome stuff. Our next item, recognizing schools receive the PBIS awards.
Good evening, everyone. I'm not here with a deck or a presentation. I just wanted to create an opportunity to honor the 4 schools that met the state level requirements for being recognized for their implementation of positive behavior intervention and support. I'll start with the middle school because they're here. So they received the silver award. The bronze award went to Echo Valley and Prunedale, and Elkhorn received the gold award. And there's some rivalry, I would say, between the schools around being recognized. And what that looks like is they complete an annual self-assessment of their implementation. There are walkthroughs on the school sites. We interview students and staff, and there's reflection built into that process. They all have the opportunity to make improvements in their scores. And then if they meet all of their requirements for submitting, we submit them for recognition. So all 4 of those schools will be recognized at the conference. And that's
Awesome.
all I was going to say tonight. Thank you.
All right. Any clarifying questions, Adriana? Rick?
As far as the other schools and is this based on the the staff, or is this based on the students, or is this like a combination of everything?
It's a combination of everything. So it's we go into the classrooms and we take data on the classrooms. We take data out at recess. We interview people on the campus. They complete a rubric and score themselves. And they have to do all of those components in order for us to submit them for recognition. So all of our school sites did complete the self-assessment, but some of them didn't go through those kind of extra steps yet. And I would say all of them but one met the self-assessment requirement for the state recognition. They just needed to go through those extra steps.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Sandra?
No.
Angela? Martha?
Question too, so thank you for asking. So when is this state conference?
In October.
In October, so it's right around the corner.
Mhm.
So who gets to participate?
So on the agenda tonight, you approved that these 4 sites could send 4 people.
4 people each?
Mhm.
All right.
Right.
Nice.
Mhm.
Thank you.
Any closing comments? And I'll start this way, since you already,
No, just congrats. I mean, explaining how they had to achieve those rewards makes us so proud. You know, that our school is even in that state level recognition, right? Have they earned this before?
Some of them.
Some of
Mhm.
them have?
Yeah,
And did you say Echo Valley got the gold?
they got the bronze.
The bronze.
Yeah, they're on their way to
Not
gold.
competitive. I'm
They're on their they're competitive with each other, amongst each other. Mhm.
so cool though.
Mhm.
Thank you though. Thank you for
Mhm.
sharing. It's
Yeah,
exciting.
definitely.
all right. Angela?
Well, the thing went when they go to state. Hopefully they'll present a slideshow or some photos sent to us.
Thank you. Can do that.
Sandra?
Congratulations to the schools and to the administration and the staff that support positive behavioral for our students, hopefully giving them good coping skills and positive behavior reinforcement. So congratulations on the effort and the hard work. Thank you.
Rick?
Congratulations and thank you for all your hard work all the time.
Adriana?
Same thing. Congratulations.
Yeah, congratulations. And let's keep the non-competitive part going so we can continue to improve and receive our awards. So thank you, Katie, and thank you
Thank
for
you.
you supporting the schools and the team.
Thank you. Thank you
Thank
so
you.
much.
All right. Moving to our next item, I'm opening up for public comment on non-agenda item matters. No one in Zoom? All right, closing public comment. Moving on to our next one, board reports, and I'll start with Adriana.
Is this on?
Sure.
It is.
Yeah. Okay. Hello. Okay. Yeah. Check a little bit. Okay. So, should I just go? Okay. So for today's presentation, I wanted to start with, can I get the next slide, please? I wanted to start with cultural highlights around campus. September 16th, I believe, was our Mexican Independence Day, and our Aguilas Guerreras Club celebrated Mexican Independence Day and Latino Heritage Month. At lunch, we had a bunch of fun games. Like the top left corner is our concha eating contest, and below that is the pin the tail on the donkey. And our Raices Club performed. We had music, and yeah, it was really fun. And then also our Raices Club and I believe Aguilas Guerreras also attended the San Jose Earthquakes game, and our Raices Club performed at the, let's see, at the Fans Fest before the game, and they presented their culture and represented North County very beautifully. So yeah. As for around campus, we had a fall sports rally where we highlighted our fall sport athletes, and can't really see it in that picture, but we revealed our homecoming theme this year, which is Condors Go Global. We have our athlete of the week that we started implementing again this year, where we email the coaches and they give us like a brief description of their athlete of the week, and they get a shout out on Instagram and on the overhead announcements every morning. Our football spirit game was last Friday, I believe, and we had a color explosion student section, and we had actually a really good turnout, and it was really fun. Our National Play-Doh Day, where we had Play-Doh in the forum for kids to play with, and then our World Suicide Prevention Day, where we had our whole school wear yellow. Yep. So coming up, we have our fall sports. First, we have flag football, who won Tuesday versus Pajaro Valley, and today they won against Pacific Collegiate. Volleyball won against Seaside yesterday, and they play North Salinas tomorrow. And our football game, the Spirit football game, was against King City, and today they play Alvarez. As far as homecoming, as I mentioned, our theme this year is Connors Go Global. It's in about 2 weeks, and we're gonna have our candidate assembly where all the candidates like do their skit and like try to get people to vote for them. And then Wednesday we have our food booths. Thursday is our bonfire, which is also going to be free as well, like our mixer. And then Friday we have our homecoming football game, and then Saturday is the dance. And again, our Halloween senior night, which is where we're trying to have our trunk or treat and just like a costume contest, something to involve the community on that night. And then I also had one more comment that didn't make it on the slideshow. But so from a personal perspective, I know like a senior year, we have a lot of events for our seniors, like our senior dinner dance in the San Francisco Bay and our grad night, which is usually down south. But I tended to I started to notice that our alternative schools don't have these events, and a lot of them they can't attend. So, for example, there is some that you can attend, like homecoming. We would have to fill out a guest pass, but for grad night and for the senior dinner dance, they're not allowed to. And I understand like the safety concern that it is like students from North County bringing these students and how that can come up as a safety concern. But I did want to ask if we can work together to get something for them. Maybe like even if it's just like one event, like their own senior dinner dance, something that because like they're seniors too and they're graduating too, they put in the same amount of work, and I believe that they should get a celebration like that too. But that's all. Thank you.
Okay. It is working? Before I move on, you're saying that some of our students cannot participate in some of the events, the continuation?
Yeah, I believe the senior dinner dance is restricted to only North County students.
I have an answer to that question because I've actually been looking into it.
Yeah, from last year.
And so it's FICMAT who write the rules on how things happen within ASB, all right? And so essentially how this works is the board policy on who participates is not specific. So we're actually have a group of people who are going to be writing up some recommendations for board policy so we can make it more specific about who can attend. Until the board policy specifies that yes, students who are in our district and don't go to the high school and go to ed options are allowed to participate. Until that happens, according to FICNAT, who are the authorities on this, it is up to the ASB student body to decide, not the adults. It's up to the ASB student body to decide if you would want to have other students from ed options, so Central Bay and independent study, to participate. If you all vote yes, then the answer is yes, and they can participate. So this is something which I've spoken to both Dan and Laurie Lowenson around. Okay, they know this. They will be speaking to the students so that then you can all make that decision. Meanwhile, we will be writing up some board policy and bringing it to the board to make those decisions.
Okay, thank you, Matt.
Thank you for the clarification. I actually
You're
was not
welcome.
aware of
Thank you for the question, Adriana.
Thank you. I'll go to our next board member, Rick.
Yeah, last night we had athletic committee and it was great. I was really pleased. We had a few, I forgot how many, like maybe eight people came, but you know, they're really key people from the community and a coach and athletic director. And we made progress on the future of the actual committee, which is really awesome. The, Mr. Andrus had food there, which is round table pizza, was really awesome. We set Rosenberg rules and voted on a couple of topics, which was really great also. So it was a success, and we voted to have the meetings more frequently per year. the committee, the whole committee, obviously. And then also, I'm really happy because I was a little nervous because I about the game today, blue flag football, and my daughter plays on it, and we traveled to Pacific Collegiate, and they were undefeated, and we were 6-1 coming off of Tuesday's win, and we won only 6-0 by a pick six by my daughter Danae. So I'm super stoked. And tonight, crossing the fingers on the Alvarez game. And that's it for the board group.
Thank you, Rick. Sandra.
Let's see. Well, notably, we attended our conference, CLSBA, and it was very enjoyable. It's nice to go and meet other, you know, board members and leaders and get inspired about education and learn, right? Because there's always something to learn. And I also enjoyed spending time with my fellow board members and Superintendent Turkey. We were missing one of the team, but we still had a really enjoyable time. And then also I attended the college and career fair, and that was very nice. It was very well attended. And I want to congratulate the team for putting it on. I thought it was very well organized and I enjoyed it very much. And that's all for me. Thank you.
All right. Angelo.
So I want to get a clarifying question with our student trustee. What does going global mean for your theme?
So it's kind of like just like around the world kind of thing. Like for skits, we're thinking like I know a lot of people are doing like the World Cup song from like Shakira, like kind of just like around the world. And then like with our food booths, we're doing like cultural or it's like an opportunity to do cultural foods. And then Thursday, I don't know if I'm allowed to reveal what the bonfire theme is, but yeah. And then, but our dance theme is Rhythm of Rio, and it's going to be Rio de Janeiro decorated.
Could you email the board the dates of everything? So I want to see if they have a fire at the non-bonfire. They've had a bonfire for 3 years. There's no fire. I would
I
like to see if a
was
fire
saying-
happens this time.
That it was like
Depends on the winds.
Yeah.
So.
it was like a restriction. I'm actually in charge of the
Fireworks
bonfire.
one time?
Yeah, but then we got told we can't do that.
It's the fire marshal. So if the fire marshal calls us up and says it's too windy, you can't have one. We can't have one.
I'm working on alternatives though. Yeah.
A drone show. Let's go big. ASB's got 198 in their account. I think it's time to spend some of that money. Yeah.
I'll put it in a word.
Definitely send the board these dates and see fireworks. But on our part, the one thing is we went down to San Diego for the California Latino School Board Association Conference. It was very inspiring. It's also a little gut check too, because really you got to see what happens when everybody works together. And it's motivating to remind ourselves to not only it reminds us that we could do better and that we should do better. And always push ourselves to grow. So it was a good moment for me to see that, to keep wanting to push forward. So and we got to meet some good networking. You got to meet someone who's his name? The one who's running for governor?
Javier Becerra.
Whoever that guy is, we got to meet him.
Barrera.
So apparently everyone knew him but me.
Barrera. Javier Barrera.
So it was just it was a great opportunity to get to
It's on.
it was a great
Definitely
opportunity to just to be in a world where I normally am not in. So it was a good chance to push ourselves forward. And then also to, since we kind of stayed late, to introduce our board president to USS Midway Museum. And it was amazing because one of the key being prior military, you forget the level of what 18-year-olds are capable of. And then you ask yourself, why are these 18-year-olds doing such amazing things? It's because they're being held to a standard that we know they can meet. And a lot of these 18-year-olds are also just recent grads from our school, meaning that they can achieve greatness as long as we hold them to that standard. So it was a good reminder for that.
Yeah.
So it made me motivated to come back to see, let's keep pushing forward. Let's keep pushing our students further to higher standards. because they can meet it.
Right, thank you. Marta?
Yeah, I really enjoyed the conference too, and just the whole theme, United in Action, Unidos en Acción. And it was powerful, inspiring, and I think one of all the courses, one of the gentlemen that really inspired me was Dr. Carranza, the Chandler from New York. And I was just really impressed with his story from where he started and where he's at from, in LA, the like Compton area, around that area, and just from where he ended up, and one of the things I remember, because you showed a picture of it, him as a student, really wanting to learn mariachi. And it was him back in the early 80s that got to get a first time a mariachi curriculum adopted. And what he went through, the principal trusting in him. And then afterwards, I went to go speak with him, and because, I'm excited about us having that at our school. And he said, reach out. I got his cell number, reach out, I'd love to work with, your teacher. There's some great training available in Las Vegas, to really enrich, your mariachi, program. So again, there was a lot of great conversations, a lot of great workshops, but that one stuck with me because he gave me his cell number. So I got your number. But also the Alliance, four of us went to go to the Alliance meeting, and that was powerful because it was the first kickoff this year. And there was a lot of partners, a lot of great dialogue, but the student voices, having them come up and talk about their needs and their goals and how they can partner with anybody, with, the individuals there, what they needed. Again, I love the student voices. So when they talked about that environmental, what was that thing again that they went to in the Elkhorn Slough?
The Slough Crew.
The Slough Crew. And how the guy that organized it recognized North County the first time ever to have 100 attendees, participate, and how powerful it was. So that was, again, inspiring, right? Great way to start the year, to hear about that.
And there was Latino Conservation Week, which they were a part of. Yeah.
Yes. That was powerful. So yeah, those are the two highlights, college career went to that too. And so yeah, it's good stuff.
I agree. The conference was pretty cool. It's good to share space with other board members and also hear about other districts and what they're doing and how they're working for their students. It was really like we already know, but it was sad to see that data of how Latino students or students, English learners, are doing pretty bad throughout. But there was some districts that actually now have hit and leveled all their students. And so I'm looking forward to making sure all of our students get to that space. And then I have not been able to attend the committees because I usually have a work schedule that is 6 months ahead already planned. And so I wish we can actually have the dates ASAP so I cannot work during those meetings. For example, yesterday I couldn't attend the athletic committee because I was actually working and coming and giving a workshop for the district. So I'm hoping now that we have at least a couple of future dates. I'll try to switch, but in the future, if we can maybe schedule ahead, that would be great. All of our committees, so we can know ahead of time. And then if we can, I agree that if we can get dates for events, yes, I want to come to see. Maybe I'm not gonna go ask students for stuff or anything, but I do want to see some of those events and participate for some of those events like homecoming. So it would be great to have them as board members as well. And that's it. All right. Moving to the next one. And also I want to thank our new executive assistant who has shared the calendar with us, and the calendar has dates, and it's now easy for me to incorporate it into our calendar. So thank you. and welcome. And thank you, Val, for continuing to support and help and train and mentor. So we appreciate both. And then moving on to superintendent's report.
Hey, thank you. And actually, pretty much all of our committees, apart from maybe the athletic committee, which is adding dates, have all got dates for the entire school year, and they are on the public calendar. So those are actually there and they're set. Okay, so yeah, there's been a lot of really good stuff happening across the district. And if you'll go to the next slide, please, Enrique, there's a video to show, which is this week's Turkey Talk. Last time it did not show. So this time, I think we have conquered our technical errors and we will be able to show Turkey Talk. September is Attendance Awareness Month. And this was this week's Turkey Talk. I spoke too soon about overcoming the technical errors, didn't I? Thanks, Enrique. Hi there, and welcome to this episode of Turkey Talk. This week, we are going to be interviewing students to see why it is important to attend school every day.
It's important to attend school so you could receive an education to get a good job.
What would happen if you had to miss school or you missed a lot of school?
You would fall behind on your education and it'll take a toll on you.
So you can have a great education and get a good job when you grow up. Yo creo que es importante para poder tener tus grados buenos y poder aprender todas las materias que enseñan en la escuela. Para aprender nuevas cosas y para ser alguien en la vida.
It's good for your record and also you won't miss any learning.
Estamos aquí a Echo Valley para hablar con los estudiantes sobre el importante de atender la escuela cada día.
Para aprender más. Because you need to learn stuff.
Why is it important to come to school each day?
Because you can learn stuff.
¿Por qué sea importante para los estudiantes atender la escuela cada día?
Es importante para conexión, para tener un tiempo fantástico y para ver amigas, amigos y también aprender.
Me encanta ver a los estudiantes asistir a la escuela porque hay muchas actividades para que ellos participen y están muy contentos de asistir.
What messages would you have for any parents who, might be struggling getting their students to school each day?
Reach out. We have a lot of resources available. We can support in a lot of different ways. So the more that we communicate with each other, the more that we work together, the more likely we are to be able to find a successful resolution.
Why is it important to come to school every day? Thank you for showing that, Enrique. Okay, so September is Attendance Awareness Month, and we're trying to highlight the importance of attendance across all of our schools. We do have several schools who hit 95.6% attendance so far. So we have 3 schools who hit that target, which is pretty wonderful. Middle schools, we heard, is going for 98%. Okay, for the next month, and we have a real attendance push happening right now. Next slide, please. So from September 15th through October 15th is Latino Hispanic Heritage Month. And across the district, we had a lot of people showing their heritage and, really enjoying and showing folks where they're from. So yay. And next slide, please. Okay, so we recently had a dinner with the superintendent event, and that was, I believe it was a week ago, so last Thursday. It was pretty well attended, and the topic was school safety. Whenever there's a topic like school safety, this can be It's a good topic, and it can also be a difficult topic. Okay. And it can be a difficult topic because safety is so important. It is so important. Okay. And I want to thank all of the parents who came out. Sometimes when parents talk to us, they have difficult stories to share. And sometimes it can be difficult for us to hear because they're not all positive. Okay. And what I have to share is if you're coming to share positive things, negative things, all people are welcome. We can learn from all of the things which our parents share. Okay. We know that our system is far from perfect. We know this, but we also need our parents. We need our parents to show us where are the cracks in the system. And we also need our parents to help us sew the system back together because we can't do it on our own. It really, really does take a village. And that does include all of our parents and community members. Our next dinner with the superintendent is going to be based around exploring the math framework and the math materials adoption. Okay, so this is something which we're going to be engaging in this year. And this is an opportunity for our parents and community members to come and get involved, find out a little bit about the new math framework, hear about our materials adoption, and also to give us some feedback on our math materials adoption. So that is coming up on Wednesday, October the 15th. It'll be here at the high school upstairs, and it'll be from 5:30 to 7:30. Next slide, please. So we had the Community Alliance meeting also last Friday. It was a really good morning. Lots of partners there, and the purpose of the North Monterey County Alliance meeting is really for third parties and for our partners to come together and then to see the things which we're doing, to become inspired, okay, to connect with one another, and then really also to think about, okay, well, what is it that we can do for North County? How can we support our students? How can we support our students? How can we support our families? How can we support our community? That's what the North Monterey County Alliance is all about. Next slide, please. Okay, so we also have a job fair which folks went to recently. And this is Emily from the central office who works with our classified staff over there at the Monterey County Workforce Job Fair. Next slide, please. And as you heard, we also had a college and career fair here at the high school, which is a great success. So many different colleges, so many different opportunities there, and things for our students to think about what is it that they want to do post high school. All right. And yeah, got to chat with lots of community members, got to chat with lots of students, trying to figure out what they're doing. I remember talking to one kid and I was like, okay, what's the best thing about today? And he was like, networking, definitely networking. But that it was cool for sure. And next slide, please. So CLSBA, the California Latino School Boards Association, this was a lot of fun. A few pictures of us here in sunny San Diego. And it was inspiring. Okay. It really was around Unidos en Acción. So coming together, united in action. And it does remind us that we do need to move forward as one. I was really impressed by the conference. They had some great speakers. They had some, they had some really great breakout sessions as well. And, like Angelo, I don't usually get to hear two people who want to be governor come speak to us. It was kind of cool, right? And I was also really impressed by just us as a team and as board members, okay, leaning into the learning and really kind of thinking about what is it that we need to do to get better, okay, because the board leads the way. The board leads the way. And so super impressed and yeah, a really great time. And next slide, please. Okay, so staff spotlights. So we have Noel Rodriguez, who used to be here in the library. So he was one of our librarians here at the high school, and he's recently switched jobs to be a student transcript data specialist. And Noel, on his own, reached out to more than 300 families, okay, to make sure that they're completing their online enrollment. And so he was there just like working through these things. And he has I believe you say Ganas. He has a real desire, okay, to win, and he's got a real desire to get the job done. So this is a shout out to Noel. Thanks, Noel. And next slide, please. Okay, so while we were at the Alliance, anybody who was there was so impressed with the students. And the students from the SLU crew who were talking about their experiences in the SLU crew. Okay. And this is a group of kids who love going out into nature. This is a group of kids who they don't want to be in front of the TV. They want to have experiences out and about. And they were really good about talking about those experiences. And the person who has given them the opportunity to be a part of the SLU group is Dr. Richard Owens. Okay. He's the person who is leading this team. And when you speak to a group of students and they all speak so positively of something, then you go to, okay, well, who's leading this group? And it's Dr. Richard Owens. So a shout out to Dr. Richard Owens there. He's doing a great job with the SLU crew. Thank you.
All right, I'm gonna now move on to our next item, and it's classified report. We have anyone? All right, seeing none. Teachers Federation. Seeing none. Let's move on to our discussion items, and let's start with Resolution 2025-2603.
And I'm here. Good evening, Board President Emilio Ramirez, trustees, Dr. Turkey, committee members. I'm here to request board approval of the annual resolution on the sufficiency of instructional materials as required by Ed Code 60119. Prior to today, we held public comment and a notice of sufficiency was posted at each of our school sites, the district office, and our family resource center in compliance with public notification requirements. We are confident that our students have sufficient instructional materials. However, I do want to note transparently that a few of our elementary sites are still missing certain consumable materials like workbooks. These items are already on back order or have purchase orders in process, and this information has been communicated to our school sites. In the meantime, sites are providing access by making copies of materials as needed so that no student goes without the required instructional content. With this assurance and plan in place, we are bringing forward tonight a resolution for your approval affirming sufficiency of instructional materials across our school district.
Awesome, thank you. I'm gonna first open it for any public comments. Zoom. All right, closing public comment. Any clarifying questions? Adriana? Rick?
No question.
Sandra?
So for the items on back order, do we have anticipated dates?
Yes, we do. We're anticipating by October, which is coming around very quickly.
Okay.
Yes.
Is there any materials that are going to be beyond October in your estimation?
I would have to get back to you if anything's gonna be past October, but I can get back to you through Dr. Turkey for that.
Okay, thank you.
Angelo?
No question.
Martha's not here. I don't have any questions. This is an item for approval. Do we have any discussion? Adriana?
No.
Rick?
No.
Sandra?
No.
Angelo? All right. With no discussion, I move to approve Resolution 2025-2603.
Second.
Adriana?
No.
Moved.
Rick.
Diaz, trustee Diaz, second. Vote, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Okay, motion carries. Thank you.
Thank you, board.
And bear with me, I'm still learning the new rules and everything, and Val, remind me, look at me. Your eyes will make me remember I have to be vocal. Next item, adopt resolution number 2025-2502. Patty, welcome.
Hi, good evening, board. So suicide is the second leading cause of death for young people ages 10 to 24. And it disproportionately impacts marginalized groups like our LGBTQ youth and our students with disabilities. Since the beginning of this 25-26 school year, we've completed 9 suicide risk assessments already. That's our mental health therapists and our school psychologists. And our 7 mental health therapists across the district have already received 95 referrals. Also, earlier today, you consented to the adoption of the updates to our district suicide prevention and intervention manual. And I just want to say that if you or anyone you know needs support, please call 988, which is a national suicide crisis lifeline that is answered locally. And I want to encourage everyone to read the resolution. And in conclusion, therefore be it resolved that the governing board of the North Monterey County Unified School District hereby supports the goals of National Suicide Prevention Month and will work with a broad spectrum of local community partners, parents, students, teachers, and staff to raise awareness, build resilience, and find hope. Thank you.
Thank you. I'm going to open it for any public comment. Zoom? No public comment, closing public comment. I'm going to open it for any questions. Adriana? No question. Rick?
No.
Sandra? No?
It's questions, right?
Yeah. No. Angelo?
No clarifying questions.
Clarifying questions? Marta?
Clarifying questions.
No questions for me. This is an item to move. Any discussion? Adriana?
Just, I really love the promotion of like mental wellness that's coming up recently. And I think anything that we can do to bring awareness and break the stigma is very important. So thank you very much.
Rick?
Yes, thank you for all you do for the kids and everyone else on the staff and the team. It's everything that Adriana said also. But yeah, that's it. Thank you.
Sandra?
I just think it's heartbreaking that there's any kid or, adult that doesn't know that they matter. So as community members, as parents, pay attention, if the behavior changes, if you see that they're sad and they can't feel better, or if they're going through things and you don't understand, there is support here. So I think that's phenomenal. I think I've seen us head that way and provide more and more resources to students, our wellness center here. I got a little tour today and it's coming along and looks really good, like a welcoming space for kids. But parents, please talk to your kids. And even when you're upset with them, let them know how important they are and to be hopeful for their future. And I think that's why it is so important for us to be tolerant of one another. And I know sometimes it's hard to do because we get in our own way, but everybody deserves to be seen and heard exactly as they are. And so I think this is an amazing resolution. And that we all make an effort to connect with someone, even just a smile, a hello. And if we do see a student in need, that we call 988 or refer them to someone here. So thank you.
Thank you, Sandra. Angelo?
Nothing.
Marta?
Sandra, beautiful words. Thank you for sharing. I don't need to repeat that, but this is very important. We're really glad you brought it to the table. I mean, we're all aware of just this recent incident that occurred with a student in Salinas. So, this is real. This is a real thing. Yeah. So, really appreciate it that you brought this forth.
Dr. Turkey?
Thank you.
Definitely, thank you. And I agree. Thank you, Sandra. And we definitely need to bring more awareness and reduce stigma and support and like you mentioned, tell everyone matters. We're living in a very difficult time right now for many people. So we have to remind ourselves to start with humanity and remind everyone that they contribute, everyone contributes, everyone matters. So thank you for bringing this to the board. This is an item to adopt. I move to adopt this resolution.
A second.
Melgoza moved, Reese second. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay,
Thank you.
motion carries. Thank you. All right, next item. Approve I don't even know how to pronounce that. GAN spending limit resolution number 2024-2503. Brenda, welcome.
Thank you. Good evening. This is to approve the GAN spending limit with the supporting calculations to show that the district is meeting the state requirements. Our calculations show that we are within the limits. This is based on the California GAN Amendment, Proposition 4, that sets a cap on how much public agencies, including of course school districts, can spend from state and local revenues. And from the calculations, we are within limits, but we are required to report it. So that is what we are doing, ensuring we are doing as we are supposed to.
All right, I'm gonna open it for any public comment. Sue? All right, closing public comment. Any clarifying questions? Adriana?
No question.
Rick?
Well, no.
Sandra? Angela? Martha? No questions for myself. Any discussion? Adriana? Rick?
No.
Sandra?
But just thank you for preparing this, and blue looks really nice. They look really nice.
All right. Angela?
I have to agree with
Yeah.
trustee Ruiz.
It does look
So-
very nice today, does you know? Yeah.
All right. Martha?
Thank you.
Thank you. This is an item to approve.
I move to approve.
Second?
Second.
Moved by trustee Reese, second by Diaz. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Anyone else opposed? Okay, motion carries. All right. Next item, approve the 2024-2025 unaudited actuals.
Yay,
money.
Us again. Good evening. Today we are excited to present the unaudited actuals. I have here my partner, Rihanna Flores, who I'll hand it off to in a second. I just want to start off by saying a big thank you to our entire team who was able to complete our closing with the additional work that we had and that we did not expect. This year we took on a little bit more work in closing, and we're just very grateful to our entire team for all the work that went into closing.
Good evening, board. Thank you for having us. Just to go over the agenda we'll be presenting today, we will briefly define what are unaudited actuals, and just touch a little bit again on the budget cycle and what a piece that we added in there. We'll also summarize Fund 01 by reviewing our revenues and expenditures and the difference between our beginning balances compared to our ending fund balances for the year. We'll also talk about some of those fund balances in the other funds and where it's sitting. And then lastly, we'll also touch on best practices for those carryover funds that will be carried over then to the 25-26 year. So again, what are unaudited actuals? It is a financial summary report that is required by state law, and it must be reviewed and adopted by the school board, which is why we're here today. It is considered unaudited because it has yet to be analyzed by our the district's independent audit firm. However, once adopted today, then we will be able to move it forward to our county superintendent and our independent audit firm for their review. We are expecting our auditors to be here early October. And we will, any findings that do come up in the audit review will be noted as an adjustment in our 25-26 fiscal year. And we expect our final audit report to be, or it's due by December 15th. If we look at the budget presentation cycle, it is something we presented previously, but we did want to touch on one piece that we did add, which is the third line from the bottom, the audit actuals 24-25 in January. Again, this is to talk about any findings that do come up during the audit review, and we do have to make those adjustments. You'll see them in our in January when we're able to make those final adjustments after the final audit report. So now we get to dive into the numbers. We're going to go ahead and start with our general fund. In our general fund, I just want to start off that we include both unrestricted and restricted in the snapshot, and we'll do a breakdown afterwards. Our beginning balance started at about 34 million, revenues of 93 million, expenses of 99. This ended our balance with an ending balance of about 27 million. That is going to carry forward into our 25-26 fiscal year. The difference between our beginning and ending balance is 6.7. That means that that's the money that we have been utilizing from that carryover fund. So we have started to utilize those funds. Now, if we continue forward, moving into a separation of restricted and unrestricted, we always want to see what that difference is. In our unrestricted, we started with 18. Our revenues were 59. Expenses were 57 million. And so we actually ended with a higher balance. We ended with a balance of 20 and change million. The difference is 1.3 million, almost 1.4. I'll talk a little bit more about that in a second. Now, if we look at our restricted started at about 15, revenues of 34, expenses of 42 million. And so we ended with a lower ending fund balance in comparison to the beginning fund balance of 6.9. And that's a net difference of a negative 8.1 million. So part of the reason that there was such a difference and a fluctuation between being able to actually have some additional funds in our unrestricted is because during closing, and that's why this closing, we really pushed to identify and analyze our restricted funds to ensure that we're leveraging it the best possible way. We wanted to ensure that any dollars that should be utilized that are restricted and can be utilized, so allowable and appropriate, were being utilized before we were utilizing our unrestricted funds. So that's why we actually ended with a balance in unrestricted. Now, this is an ongoing process. You know, we did this quite quickly during closing. We came in April, so it was a pretty quick process, but this is something that we're going to continue to do, to continue to identify and analyze so that we are using our restricted funds first. Moving forward in our unrestricted revenues, don't worry, I'm not going to go through every single object code. I'm just going to highlight the main ones. You see on there that I've put down the object codes and the descriptions. Our revised budget is what we had at the end. This was our budget that we had. It was our final revision. Our actual revenue showed our actual cash that we had. And our variance is just the difference between our revised budget and our actuals. As you can see, they're pretty minimal. There's a couple that I'm going to point out because they stick out like a sore thumb. So one of them is that negative 100,000. That's actually great. That's a negative in terms of penalties. We did not have any in this category, so we are happy to have that variance. The other portion that you'll see is a 27.9 in terms of federal revenue, and that just fluctuates based on our change in our award. If you look at it, it's not that much of a difference, but in terms of the variance, it's the highest one besides the 74. The other one is the 74.8. Now this is gains and losses. This is actually not real cash. It's a fair market value, which is a journal entry that we do at the very end of the year, just to know what our fair market value is. And in 25-26, 26, it will actually be reversed. So it's just something that we do at the very end to see this is kind of where we stand, but it's not actual cash. It's just fair market value.
looking at restricted revenue. In our restricted revenue, again, same idea, revised budget with our actual and our variances. Now, the variances here are a little higher, and a huge majority of that is because our grants, when we budget for our grants, we budget for 100% of our grants. I'll give you, I'm trying to think of an example, maybe. Yeah, maybe, for instance, ELO is a good example. Thank you. We book the 100% of that grant, but of course, we're only going to receive the actual revenue up to the point of reimbursement. So there's always going to be a variance there, especially when you're looking at multi-year grants and multi-year programs, because we're only going to use a portion of that award for that year. So that's the majority of why you see such large discrepancies there. Now, some of the discrepancies, for instance, like that contribution for 100%, it was just because it was taken out of 8980 instead of 8990. Trying to take a look. In the other larger discrepancy is our, oh, slow down. So I don't know how to go any slower. I'll try to go slower. The other discrepancy is also the contracts, and those contracts act just like you would in terms of an award. So it's also an award, and so you book the full amount, but you only receive revenue up to the amount of reimbursement. In our unrestricted expenses, so we're moving forward to expenses. This is our expenses in our Fund 1, so general fund, unrestricted expenses. Part of the reason that there are variances because, again, we identified those expenses that are more appropriate in our restricted funds. And so those were expended in restricted funds instead of unrestricted. But I will talk a little bit, of course, in the salary and benefits, we always have changes in terms of vacancies, people come and go. And so, of course, you're always going to have a variance there. But the big variance you'll see is, for instance, our capital outlay. Part of the reason we have a large variance there is because we book a budget for an entire project, for instance, our entryway project. But as you know, there are delays in terms of construction and the projection of when that project will be completed, meaning only a portion of that project is paid out. That doesn't mean it's not obligated. It just means that only a portion of it's paid out, and then the remaining cost is accrued into the next year. In terms of our restricted expenses, very similar in terms of the variance for the revenue. We always book for the entire award, but of course that doesn't necessarily mean that we utilize all of it, which is why you always see the largest variance in your 4s, 5s, and 6s, so materials and supplies, contracted services, and capital outlay, because that's where the bulk of your additional budget is going to go. You're going to put it in materials and supplies and contracted services and move as needed. But of course, if you have a multi-year program, then you're not going to use all of it in year one, hence the variance. So speaking of all those multi-year programs, the 27 million, as I mentioned, is the total amount of ending balance. And of that, you can see at the very, very top row, that's our unrestricted. So that's our LCFF dollars. You can see there's a cash balance of 20 million and change, of course. And then all throughout, you will see all of the other restricted programs that make up the remaining I think it was 6.9, can't remember the exact amount, but the difference to make up the 27 million. So I'll just walk through some of them. For instance, we have lottery, which of course is ongoing, educator effectiveness, which is a multi-year program, and to name a couple others, which I'm sure you'll be familiar with, are programs like our Prop 28, art and music, which is ongoing, as well as our dual enrollment, equity multiplier, and our learning loss dollars, as well as several of our multi-year contracts, which are our local contracts. So all of these dollars which are carrying over are multi-year. Now, looking into our restricted balance a little bit further, when we look at our ending balance of 20 million, of that 20 million, we already know that we have been talking about utilizing some of that for 25-26. So in 25-26, we have already obligated 7.8. And of the 20 million, this one is a very small amount, but I will include it in there because we can't touch it. We have another $5,000 that is for revolving, and that's for whatever need arises. That's an emergency. And so that actually leaves us now, if you take your ending balance and back out your total 25-26 obligated, as well as the revolving, leaves you with a balance of 12.499, almost 12.5. Now, looking at the obligated breakdown of that 7.8 million, about 3.3 is for our reserve. Then an additional 3.2 is for our capital outlay projects, which we have of course, ensured that we are choosing to do in this fiscal year. And then our structural deficit makes up that 1.3, making up a total of 7.8. We're going to jump into a couple other funds that are outside of Fund 1.
Yes, so some of our ending balances do sit outside of Fund 1, which you'll see here. We have Fund 8 through 17, which are funds such as our ASB, our adult education, child development, our nutritional services, deferred maintenance, and special reserve. We also have other funds such as Fund 21, our building fund, 25, our capital facilities, capital outlay, debt services, and self-insurance. I'll already give it back to Brenda. She'll talk a little bit about our debt services fund.
I just really enjoy talking about debt services. So we're going to talk about that just for a second. I do want to point out that some of these balances, because of fair market value, look like they have a balance, but there's actually no balance, such as Fund 21. That's just the amount from fair market value. One thing that I do want to talk about is debt services, because it looks like we have about 3 million sitting there. But that's not just money sitting there to sit there. So we do have a COP, and our COP, we still currently owe about 3.6 million. Our next payment is due in December, and of that we are paying 3.1. So we will still have an amount outstanding. So this money is sitting in this account, but it's sitting for the purpose of the payment of our COP. I just wanted to make that clear that this money is already obligated and called for. Okay, nice. Oh, never mind, that's me still. I did update the multi-year report based on our new balance, but I do still want to say the same thing I said last time. This is still not something that I would hang my hat on. We are still making changes. As everybody knows, there are still some revenues as well as expenses that need to be updated. But if we look at it just in this respect, we know that with these balances, even with these balances, we know that there would be some potential decreases that we would need to do in order to continue to be solvent for a 3-year cycle. So this is something that I'll continue to talk a little bit more about, but I just wanted to make sure that we updated the slide. And then finally, I'll go ahead and finish this off. This is just a reminder. We've already discussed this, but what are good practices in terms of our carryover, utilizing it for reserve and stability, one-time investments, planned one-time commitment, and of course, student and staff support. Thank you.
Thank you. I'm going to first open it to any public comment. Zoom. Right, no public comment, closing public comment, and I'm going to open it for any clarifying questions. Adriana. Yes. Rick,
No.
you said no? Rick, did you have questions or did you say no? I didn't hear you.
No questions.
Okay. Sandra.
I have a question. I saw a line item that said other outgoing. I think it was like 2.8.
Yes.
Can you give me a couple of examples of what you'd find in that category?
Of
since it's
course,
kind
of
yeah.
course. So the 7,000s, it is a very big title. You're right, other outgoing. So one of the big items that you'll find in there is our contribution to Fund 40. That is the way that it is booked. It's booked through a 7,000 account. Other items that you will find in there is indirect cost, and that's indirect cost both that is charged to restricted programs, but it's also indirect cost that is a benefit to the unrestricted program. So restricted as well as unrestricted. I'm trying to think. It's like bill back, I think is there's the tuition cost, so that's for sped. I'm trying to think of additional, those are the main big ticket items that are in the 7,000s.
And Fund 40 is.
Oh, I'm sorry. I should, Fund 40. Yes, thank you for asking that question. Fund 40 is our capital outlay. So any construction related projects that we, for instance, like the entryway project, the fire suppression system, and so on and so forth.
And then my other question, oh gosh, I forgot it now. See if it comes to me. Yeah, I'm sorry, it left me.
It's okay.
Angela, you'll have.
There's a lot of information. Like I said, I'm still reading my numbers. Yes, actually, yeah, it's in the red bar.
So with that debt payment, will we be debt free or will we have any other debt obligations as a district?
There is one other debt that I will eventually bring up that we should pay, and it's actually for a boiler system that there is a loan for that we still have outstanding. That one is significantly less, but that's the only other debt services that we currently have, besides things like leaves, for instance.
So where in the budget would that boiler system be, or it's not on there?
It is actually, it's under maintenance.
Okay, there we go. Thank you.
Angela?
And that would be under the general fund. Sorry. Yeah.
So just for clarification, we're doing the questions and it goes back to discussion, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so no clarifying questions.
All right. Martha?
Thank you for the presentation and thank you for allowing me to go through this fun packet.
You're welcome.
I mean, it just helps me, kind of reference, the things that were presented and, so I had a couple of questions. The deferred maintenance, category, I thought our projection was always 500, but I saw 788. Did we increase that? Our projection for 25-26 in terms of our budget is $500,000, so 500,000, but our carryover as in dollars that were not utilized in 24-25 left a balance of about 700,000, meaning they will have additional funds in 25-26 that will carry over. Okay, good. Does that clarify? Yeah, so 500,000 is our budget for deferred maintenance. So That's that was the carryover, the 200,000.
That's correct.
Okay. And then thank you for asking about the COP because I know about that, but the deadline to that, when do we have to pay that off? So it's coming up.
We have the next payment is in December of this December that's coming up. And then we are on a schedule. I did look to see if we were able to pay it off early as well, because that would of course mean that we wouldn't pay for interest. And the interest is substantial. And unfortunately, we currently do not qualify to pay it off earlier. I, however, am pushing and asking, is there any way that we can pay it? Because we have, as we can see, funds to be able to pay it, and I would prefer to pay it off early and save money on that interest. But basically we have this year and the next year, and then we would be completely done with it.
I remember our attorney last year was looking into refinancing with COP. Was that a discussion that's been?
Right now, the question that I asked is if there's a way for us to do a payoff, because that would mean we wouldn't pay for the interest, and it's like 600,000. So that is where the last conversation with the bank
So no
was
refinance
left.
conversation.
Currently, I have not brought up a refinance though.
Refinancing, which we talked about before, was for the bond measure. And it wasn't, it was for the bond measure, which is still being paid off by the community. And it was about refinancing that and essentially saving the community, I think, about $1 million.
Bond. All right. And then, I saw the ADA is significantly lower now too.
It is.
So we used to get over 4,000.
And we're at about 3.9.
3.9 now.
Mm.
So
I
that
mean, we're
makes a big
very close to
difference.
4,000, but that's where we currently are.
And like I mentioned before, I remember stood out to me, we were $9 million in deficit spending. I didn't see that in your summary. Is that still?
I think
Right.
part of that was with a different projection of beginning balance as well. I can go back and do a bit more analysis on that now with a different beginning balance though.
Okay, thank you.
All right. Going around for any discussion? Lorena? No? Rick?
No.
Sandra?
Just thank you both.
Angela?
Well, just throwing this out there, not a question. Thank you for all the information. You gave me a lot of fun stuff to look over. I do like numbers. We do need to balance our budget, but I'm just putting this out there to the public, the board, to the district. I believe we can balance our budget without having to cut personnel. The fact that we're almost at we're operating at $100 million a year district for the type of stuff that we're getting, we could, there's places to cut either programs or ineffectual programs to help bring us back to not being at a structural deficit. So it's just, I'm just sharing that opinion. And I just look forward to going through all your numbers.
Marta?
Just, I hope so, Angela. I mean, that is our goal, right? As a board, that's one of our main priorities is to try to get fiscally solvent and also have a balanced budget because that's the last thing we want to do, right? But I know that there's been a lot of changes, right, with the feds and the revenues and everything coming in. So we just got to get creative. We got to figure out a way because it just right now looks the unevitable, unfortunately. So I really hope that we can turn that around.
Right. Thank you. Yeah, thank you for all the information and breaking down. And I think it would be good for us to, I know you constantly tell us the codes and then, but if we could just get a list of the names, would be great, for at least for myself, so I can continue to practice. Okay, this number means this fund. But
Sure.
thank you for the information. This is an item to approve.
25 unaudited actuals report.
Second?
Second.
Approved by Diaz, second by Reese. All in favor?
Yeah.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. All right, moving on to our next item. Forensic District Audit. And that was brought by Trustee Diaz. Trustee Diaz, do you want to talk to us about your thoughts?
Yeah. In the transition of our leadership, in the past year or two, I thought it'd be a good idea for us to discuss getting audited by an independent auditor and not being audited by ourselves. We had a transition of leadership, as I said, and a lot of people left that were in leadership on their own, that were responsible for a lot of things, departments. Why is this eye messing up? Including facilities, department heads, expenditures. Please excuse me. I have for the past year, I can't accept that I need glasses now. And some of the places that I just examples of departments that we could discuss and consider are extended learning, FRC, early learning, how our vendors were chosen and the process is bidding process, and the public. I heard a little feedback after this became a agenda item, and a lot of people and not and a lot that don't have students but are taxpayers, anyone ranging from young to old, um, you know think we should be transparent and have some type of independent auditor to look at the district that a lot of them, in their own words, complain about and have concerns about. And that we've had instances that we've questioned about, say, for instance, a Department of Facilities person, and they'd use third-party janitors, for instance, and we had a lot of questions about that. So I'd like to, maybe over time, maybe over a couple meetings, discuss as a group if we choose to do so today, to discuss us board members to be independent from any district input and decide for ourselves what or if we should do something like that.
Okay. Thank you, Rick. I'm gonna first open it to any public comment. Zoom. No? All right, closing public comment. I'm gonna open it for any clarifying questions, and I'll start with Adriana. Do you have any clarifying questions? No. All right, Sandra.
Yes, I have a couple. Currently, we have an auditor for overall financials that is a third-party person, right? Correct. So for overall financials, we have a third party that reviews.
Sorry. Yes, we currently do have an outside firm that does our auditing for us for all of our financials, and they do additional audits as well, such as student attendance and things of that nature.
And then how often do you switch that firm, or do you ever switch them?
Yes, there is a requirement. I'm sorry, I don't have it offhand. I believe it's every 3 years, but I can verify the exact year of when we're supposed to switch.
And then one more question.
Of course.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but I remember there was going to be some review.
Correct.
Of your team and.
Yes, we are also currently up for FPM this year, which is a federal program monitoring, and that is something that is federal. It's an additional audit on top of our regular. Oh, sorry, can you not hear?
Yeah, a little bit louder.
So just to restate in case it was not audible, we do currently have an outside firm that comes in on a yearly basis. They actually come twice a year and they do an audit for all of our financials. They also include additional audits. They check, for instance, our ADA, they check our attendance, they check a multitude of different areas. And that is a requirement. We have to have an outside firm to do those check-ins. This year, we are also up for FPM, which is Federal Program Monitoring, where we will be audited on all of our federal programs. This includes financials, but on top of that, it includes anything that encompasses those federal programs. And so that is also, of course, outside of North County, it is done.
remember correctly or incorrectly that you were going to be doing some kind of review of your structure. The people in your department, the business processes, or was it a system? Is it a system that you're looking at for processing purchase orders?
Oh,
Or I'm completely imagining.
you might be talking about our review of just internal procedures and processes. And that is also done through our auditors. They do check our internal controls, for instance, ensure that we are doing depositing and we're doing invoices correctly, things of that nature. So yes, of course, we're always doing internal audits, but we are also audited externally by an outside firm.
Okay, so when you have special programs, like you have the, let's say child development
Mhm.
or adult ed.
Yes.
What kind of oversight do those programs get?
Yeah, let's talk about, for instance, child
Development.
development. They actually came and did a review, and this was a state review. I think this happened just last week, and they're coming again in a couple of weeks. So any sort of program that is a state program, those state entities will come and do reviews of their own programs. For instance, CSPP, CCTR, just specifically for child development. So we are, of course, they check all of our programs and controls. And of course, anytime we have reporting, those are the things that they're looking for. And just to add, even our local contracts, we have, for instance, one of them is First Five. They check all of our work and our reporting and ask for substantial amount of information in order for all that reporting to be verified.
So in your expertise, knowing the level that the auditors go to or don't go to, when they're evaluating a program like, child development, maybe the practices more so than the books, what could be some gaps that you think would be? 'Cause, you know how to think like from an auditing standpoint, what could be gaps that maybe that audit wouldn't get, that maybe something deeper level could potentially bring to light, or
big question.
Yeah. Do you think?
I think maybe something that is a potential gap is just slight variances in what can be defined as allowable. I'll give you an example. We're always looking at ensuring that what we purchase is allowable, reasonable, and reasonable. I can't think of the other one off the top of my head. Sorry, putting me on the spot a little bit.
Yeah.
It's not coming to me at the moment, but we're necessary. Thank you. I said it like 5 times yesterday and it's just not coming to my brain. So we're always looking at ensuring that all of our expenses are those 3: allowable, necessary, and oh my gosh. Reasonable, sorry. But sometimes what is reasonable, I think that's sometimes the gap. Maybe a $13 book is reasonable in our eyes, but maybe for them 12 is reasonable. So there are certain gaps, of course, of what that means. And those are probably some of the main areas that I would say. There's always some sort of gaps, but those are the main issues, I would say.
Thank you. No further questions.
All right.
Thank you.
Andrew?
Yeah, I just need clarification of what exactly is being asked of the board. Because the agenda item says forensic district audit. Forensic audit means an investigation of wrongdoing. And then I see the rationale of hiring a firm, but that wasn't discussed. So I looked at the firm's website and they offer like about 13 or 14 different types of audits. So are we being asked to do a forensic audit, an annual audit, a single audit? And also, how much do these services cost?
Rick, do you have any clarification of which audit you want, the forensic audit? Or that's what you're proposing to the board?
Yeah, I mean, I just requested, to staff like any other elected official and like no work was done, for me. No questions were asked, of me. And So, you know, I'm not an expert. It's just um, an idea that I thought and other people thought would be a good idea. So, you know, a lot of a lot of these other items on here have, you know, paragraphs of information, and mine has nothing. So, um,
Rick,
yeah.
why don't you share with, I don't, since it's a public discussion, share with what gave you this idea when the audit was conducted?
Well, we had
For
a
the
transit,
Monterey
I said at the start, transition of leadership, and that being said, a lot of leaders had left, and I thought we should go in the previous years, not current years, and take a deep dive into the stuff that we've talked about, that we all talked about, and that the stuff that we've heard amongst each other in closed session in the past. And I know some of us have good friends that might have did something, that might have family that might have did something. So that's why I'm asking. Um, so yeah, I'll just
So the-
continue to listen to you guys.
So the ask is for us to do a forensic audit. And I'm just making sure that we understand the ask, Rick. The ask is for us to do a forensic audit to find,
Yeah, we
to
don't.
see if we can find any wrongdoing.
Yes, and
from
we don't
past-
know how much it would cost. You know, we just gave
For the entire district?
100,000 to facilities to do that thing we just approved. So you know, we have no information for this item.
Could we get proposals for a forensic audit of financials and what that scope would look like?
I would need more details.
So you want it for the entire district? Is that,
most likely,
is that the,
most likely in the past?
in
you know,
the past, is there a specific years or? Because I think that was the information that we want to understand to be
Yeah,
able
yeah.
to determine what is the ask for the board.
Yeah.
That's your question,
in
right,
the,
Andrew?
in the previous years, I guess. I don't know how many, and that's for us to either not do or do.
Any other questions, Andrew? Martha?
I guess I'm just trying to understand too, because I know, it is vague and that's why we're having this discussion, right? So we
Yeah,
can
for
kind of
sure.
narrow it down.
Absolutely.
And narrow it down to me is you kind of threw some departments out there, early learning, you threw facilities, you threw child development. So if we narrow it down more specific, and then maybe then we could determine that what type of audit. And then from there, then ask what that would cost, because the cost would be, I mean, if we just told Christy White to go ahead and do an audit of the district, the entire district, that could be that could be million. Probably.
It could be a little bit also.
But again, that's what I'm saying. We need to let's get that proposal, be more specific on what area you're looking for. And then Sandra, thank you for those clarifying questions on the audits that are currently taking place.
Yeah, we need all the information.
And
That would be good.
It'd be good to see what that looks like, right? I know sometimes they're like on consent items, I think. Consent items when there's audits, and we just kind of approve it in bulk. I know that there's so audits in general, but when I heard you say early learning, when I hear about forensic, if there was something done incorrectly, I guess that's what we need to determine, the type of audit, right? I haven't looked at the website to see all the different ones that they offer, but maybe we can just go back and do a little bit more research and then bring that back to the table and have that conversation to kind of really narrow it down. And then kind of have a conversation with Mr. Turkey to kind of give us the feedback like, let's think about the years, right? Like, how far back do we want to go? And let's think about what specific area you're interested in. And then let's look at what that would look like and be specific on the type of audit. And if we can just narrow that down and then have a conversation, that's just my recommendation there.
Do you have?
Are we in clarifying questions right now?
Yes, we are in clarifying questions.
Okay.
And I think that that's the clarifying question also for me, would like, what are the years you're proposing? What, if it's forensic, that means that they're gonna go in and see if there's wrongdoing, because the other audits are not about, they're different type of audits.
Yeah.
If it's for the entire district or for the departments that you just said, because if it's for the entire district, that's gonna take, I imagine, time, money. And also if there's information that you have that we don't know to be able to do this, or is this just,
Same information that we've heard over the past few years.
it's just in general?
Yeah.
All the transition and everything, that's,
Yeah.
okay, all right. Those are my
So,
clarifying.
I just basically, I'm not an expert on how the agenda and what staff does, but I do know that I've talked to some elected officials and they say, and I see that staff does the work and they work with staff. And, as you see, no one.
And I worked with you on getting this,
Yeah.
this in the agenda.
Yeah, for sure.
And
for
we
sure.
talked about what you wanted to see in the agenda item. And I wanted clarity also. Now that we know, it would be good to clarify the years. We now, I'm hearing that you want it, what you're proposing is a forensic audit of the entire district and not certain departments.
Yeah, but if there's no interest from any other member of the board, then, we could count.
So, okay, so that was my only clarifying question, like if it was just a forensic audit or if it was the other type of audits.
Yeah.
And I appreciate the question that you asked of the staff,
Yeah.
of the other type of audits that exist. I mean, how often those audits happen? What are the purposes of those audits? And my clarifying, or what I'm hearing, and please clarify, is that not only is there a financial audit of financial for the district, that it's a third party, but there's also various audits that happen throughout the year for each department, for each program, for many things. Plus, do grants and all the different funding that we have also come with some audits?
So
Do they audit us?
So we have, as you say, financial audits, we have state compliance audits, we have federal audits, other mandates, the federal program monitoring. Not everything has an audit. Generally with the grants, it's like there would be things which we'd have to report on, okay? And we'd have to like prove certain things, but there's no kind of like necessarily an audit for that. But to your point, yes, there's a lot of audits.
Okay.
But I'd like to clarify in terms of staff time and when staff time spend their time on putting together agenda items whenever the time is right for that.
Mhm. Okay. All right. So now, yes,
Is this discussion? Or is this still?
I'm gonna,
questions?
yeah, that's what I
Okay.
was gonna say. I'm gonna open it for any
Okay.
discussion. Adriana. All right. Rick, do you want to add to any discussion?
Yeah, if anything, I would, I don't know what the motion would be, but to go back and work with whoever it is to work with you and staff to determine, bring it back to an agenda item with
Okay.
more detail.
All right. Sandra?
Yeah, there's financial audits and then financial forensic audits, and then there's an audit of the program. I think some of the things we've discussed about, are our programs effective? Do we have rules that everybody knows and they're following so that the same criteria is met when people are, signing up for childcare or adult education? And we've talked about that being important. I think that's what you're referring to. We want to make sure the programs are being run
Efficient.
right, and then to whatever the rules are requirement. And so I don't know that that's necessarily a financial audit, because that's more, how do you select people for the process? Is everybody getting the same information, or applications being handled in a timely manner? So I think that's why sometimes it's important to understand the scope of work, then go out, get quotes from reputable companies, and then we can have a good starting point about
Yeah.
what would be the financial commitment, and then what would this look like? Yeah, that's my 2 bits. Thank you.
Okay. Angela?
I got thrown off by the word forensics. They said forensics means wrongdoing. There's been a complaint, multiple complaints, and a full-on investigation that's going to lead to charges being filed. So when I saw that, I'm thinking, whoa, what happened? But if it's not a forensic audit, I'm curious how many audits do we do already in our district? I'm not against audits, but are we paying multiple people to do the same work over and over again? Especially after we had that budget talk. Am I allowed to ask a question during discussion about how many audits are we having?
Well, so
I mean, Brenda would have to answer that question.
Currently, the one that we do pay for in terms of contracted services is our current outside firm. In terms of like the FPM and all the additional state ones, those we do not pay for. They're just checking that we're in compliance. The only one that we pay for out of our pocket is our outside auditor.
Could you tell us about how many audits we have?
I think I'd like to gather that information and get back to you on that. Yeah. There could be many.
all right, Martha. Oh, sorry. Did you finish, Angelo?
I'm good.
No, I think I did kind of bring up like how we can look at all the timeline, be specific on the department, and then be more specific on the type of audit. And then, or maybe it could be some information you brought up, Sandra. Maybe it's really just having the child development come and talk about their process, and then we can ask some specific questions. Maybe that's an area we could do besides, having to do an audit. That's just an idea. But I know that when one of the things I'm going to bring up as a board request, and I mentioned it at closed session, is I'm trying to find it on here, but there's a lot of money we're paying for consultants right now, a lot. So I wanted to get like, who are we paying all this money to right now? Because we do have to kind of look at our money right now. It's kind of tight, and I don't want to have to reduce headcount, right? We have to look at all these line items. So I am going to be asking as a board request, like, who are all these consultants that I can't find the item, but it was a lot of money. It was like millions. So I was just like, it stood out to me, and I was like, whoa, what are we paying here? And I wasn't sure if it was like attorneys or audits or what that all compiles. Did you want to answer that?
Martha, that's not in the
We're off the
agenda
topic.
right now.
Sorry.
We're talking about this.
Agenda. Okay, you know what? You're right. You can't answer that right now. But what I'm saying is that would be a better way to understand all the contractors and vendors we're using. And I think that's somebody else said already, right? Or no?
I'm doing it.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I know I went on a tangent, guys, sorry. But that's where my brain went was I wanted to look at those numbers too.
All right, and I'm hearing, Rick, that you're proposing that we work together to now define a little bit more what is it that you're asking, so we can then, or are you asking for the staff to look into
Yeah, I mean.
all the information, and that's what we're gonna.
Yeah,
vote
so
for?
we know how much it costs, if it's worth it or not,
Okay.
and stuff like that, you mentioned, we have all these consultants, and that's what we're approving, so we stop at an audit that's being transparent for the public. So yeah, that type of thing, I guess.
So your motion, or you're moving for us to vote on staff
No, is it to table it to the?
or
next
table
agenda
it or what
and
is?
then ask for the stuff to be done? So, okay, okay.
Yeah, yeah.
So can
I said that earlier. I said that earlier.
Go.
Point of order, let's do this. You know what? Everyone is speaking for trustee Diaz.
Correct.
I'm voting on what he brought. What does trustee Diaz want to motion or wants us to do?
If we're
I think I said earlier that
I
like,
did not understand.
To table it or
to table it
and
to
then work
with-
together?
Yes, yes.
Okay,
I would like to talk about what that working together would be like. Okay, so on this item, you worked with Adriana on this item.
We
No?
discussed it a little bit, but we didn't work like, like dig deep down and actually work
but
on
what
it.
you're asking is.
So this is between the board.
But what you're asking is for us, for you and I to work together or to incorporate staff to
Yeah,
work
yeah, yeah,
together
for
to
sure.
get the information and bring it back
Yes.
as an item?
Yeah.
Because the point which I'm making is that staff can't work on something if they don't understand it,
Yeah.
right? And staff don't understand this. I'm just gonna be blunt. I don't understand this.
Yeah, you
right?
do.
I know I really don't.
Yeah, you do.
So that's what we're
Okay.
gonna work.
So the point here, which I want to make is for the entire district is huge, right? It's like, if you think about all of the different departments in the entire, I'm still speaking.
I know.
If you think about all of the different departments within the district is huge. Okay. A forensic audit is for if you feel that there's wrongdoing somewhere and you're like, hey, we should investigate that department.
Correct.
Right. Then that's like, okay, a fair thing. Right. But for the entire district, that's generally not how forensic audits are done because of the cost and the time which that would be. Even in a single department, you're talking about significant cost, significant time, which if you think that there is actual wrongdoing there and there's fraud or embezzlement, then that's worthwhile.
Yeah.
Right. But for the entire district it's like, that's not how forensic audits work. So that's my point of confusion.
But
Are you're moving to table this? for
yeah, because I
future
mean, I could
agenda?
say all kinds of names that we've talked about in the past for the past 3 years, and I don't want to do that right now.
I don't think this is the place to talk
Okay,
about
so-
names. That's a closed session if you're gonna talk about
No,
personal.
I'm not going to.
Yeah,
I'm just saying I
That's what I'm
could.
saying. So your move to table this.
Yeah.
For better and bring it back with more information.
Yes, and it doesn't have to be next meeting. It could be whatever.
We'll table it, okay.
And
Do I
that's it.
have a second for that?
Can I just get a clarifying question?
Yes.
So when you say bring it back, or are you guys gonna work together to narrow it down?
Yeah, I mean, I worked together and narrowed down. I
Work
never,
together.
like I said, yeah, I know, I'm new. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know about this stuff. So I just,
This is why we're just trying to
I
get,
know.
like, narrow it down, like, if I'm hearing correctly, instead of just bringing it back on the agenda, you're gonna talk about it first. And I think that was your question, like, you're gonna work with Adriana
We would need to know what we're looking into.
Right,
to look.
you
to
will.
look Down on what specific departments you want to do an audit. Is
Yeah.
that what you guys are gonna do, and then bring it back on the agenda?
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah, develop a scope of work.
okay,
That's what I heard.
all right. I just wanted to be clear on that.
So do I have a second? There's a motion. Is there a second to table this?
I second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
I abstain.
Did you? I didn't hear yours.
I.
All right.
Can I abstain?
Okay. You're abstaining? All right. Okay, motion 4-1. And it was moved by Diaz, second by Chavarria.
I
Okay.
Ruiz.
Oh,
Yeah.
you seconded. Sorry.
Yeah, it's okay.
I was like,
Close enough.
thank you for correcting me.
Yeah.
I'm still learning.
Got your back.
Awesome. That's what we need. All right, second Ruiz and then 4 and 1 abstain. Okay, that's it for discussion items. Moving forward to board request. And I'll start on this side. Or you know what? I'll start with our student. Do you have any board request? Okay. Moving it this way now.
So this is where I do want to ask, you know, some specifics on the consultants that we're paying. And I'm not sure what that entails, but it's specifically on that line item.
So consultants, which, yeah, because of the mic. That's
So
okay.
I guess I just wanted to get a better understanding on what was presented on the actuals. There's a line item on there on a large amount that we're paying for consultants. I just wanted to kind of understand that a little better. It could be informational that you sent to the board, or it could be a presentation, either or. Just wanted to break that down a little further.
Martha, clarifying, if you're able to find which line it is and then let us know.
I can send you guys an email.
Yeah, that would be great.
Thought I
Thank
could,
you.
but I didn't.
Okay.
All right. Anything else, Martha?
That's it.
All right. Angela.
None.
Sandra.
I would just add to Martha's request, if we could understand the consultant contracts that we have, their term and their contracted amount, just so we know what kind of liabilities we have out there. And then with the description of what they do. I hope that's not too big of an ask.
It actually is huge. I
Okay.
mean, the amount of consultants which we have is, I mean, it's pretty big. I mean, we could pull a report in terms of what would it be under, Brenda? Would you mind?
So we don't have
Let's-
a master contract listing. Is that what I?
I
Yeah.
mean, we have products and we have services. So if we're contracting out services, I mean, it's a very long list.
Matt, are we gonna discuss the what are we asking Brenda to respond?
Is this an easy thing to do, Brenda?
No.
Okay, I didn't think so.
Doesn't mean I can't do it, but it's gonna take a minute.
And what information are you wanting to get? Do you want all the contractors, their description of what they provide?
It sounds like that's not something you have currently. And I'm not trying to have you reinvent the wheel.
That's
So
why
let's
we-
start with Martha's request, and then once we get Martha's request, which is to understand the number of consultants and the
It's
lump
that-
sum amount.
It's the actual one that was reported today. It's a line item that I wish I apologize that I didn't write it down. But there's a large amount that we're paying for consultants. I just needed a little bit more information under that. That total amount, what does that consist of? And that could be information, you know, given us to the board.
Okay.
Or it could be a presentation, whatever's easier, but that was a large amount and unaudited.
And Trustee Ruiz, it's fine also for us to talk and then, discover kind of like, hey, what is it that you want? And then we can try and talk it through.
Yeah, well, what I want is, if we have a business services department, that they have a good understanding of contracts, terms, and then financial commitment. And I know sometimes you come into an organization that's not developed, right? But that would be my long range goal if I'm
Yes.
talking out loud, which apparently I am. But thank you. But yeah,
All right.
I'm gonna stand down and let Martha's request stand as it is.
Any other request? All right, Rick.
Yeah, I just wanted information on what the process is of the vending machines that are still empty. That's about it.
Okay. Anything else?
That's it.
Rick, that's
That's it.
okay. All right. I don't have any items. All right, with that said, meeting adjourned at 8:37 PM. Who won?
Is there more than?